Hare Krishna, and we're continuing with the book called Raja Vidya, the King of Knowledge, by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, page number 44. No one can become a representative of God without being a devotee of God's. One who thinks, I am God, cannot be a representative. Because we are part and parcel of God, our qualities are the same as His. And therefore, if we study these qualities in ourselves, we come to learn something of God. This is where it is. Oh my God. I was actually listening to this class of Srila Prabhupada, and he was saying about the same thing. And I was looking for the reference, but I couldn't find it, and here it is. Just imagine, if we study these qualities in ourselves, we come to learn something of God. So Prabhupada was, in that lecture, he was saying that, like, if there's someone very close to us, like if there's someone we love, right? Like some family member, some just dear person, because he is part and parcel of the Lord, like by studying his qualities, we can learn something from God, like something about God. So this is where it is. Let's read it again. Our qualities, because we are part and parcel of God, our qualities are the same as His. And therefore, if we study these qualities in ourselves, we come to learn something of God. This does not mean that we understand the quantity of God. This self-realization process is one way of understanding God, but in no case can we preach, I am God. We cannot claim to be God without being able to display the powers of God. As far as Krishna is concerned, he proved that he was God by displaying so much power and by revealing his universal form to Arjuna. Krishna showed his awesome form in order to discourage people who would claim to be God. We should not be fooled by one who claims to be God, following in the footsteps of Arjuna. We should request to see the universal form before accepting anyone as God. Only a fool would accept another fool as God. No one can be equal to God, and no one can be above Him. Even Lord Brahma and Shiva, the most exalted demigods, are subservient to Him and pay their respectful obeisances. Instead of trying to become God by some meditational process or other, we had better hear about God submissively and try to understand Him and our relationship to Him. The representative of God, or the incarnation of God, never claims to be God, but the servant of God. This is the sign of the bona fide representative. Let's just emphasize this: the representative of God, or the incarnation of God. Like even the incarnation of the Lord, completely equal in all respects to the Lord, because it's direct incarnation of the Lord. I'll give you an example. Like there is Krishna and there is his brother Balaram. Now for us, Krishna, Balaram, like Gaur Nitai, they are both Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they're both equally powerful. Like Lord Balaram, he's equally powerful as Krishna, but because he's the first expansion, he is considered to be the first guru. He's considered to be the servant of God. So even the Lord's expansion is the servant of God. What to speak of us, which are only part and parcel. This is a very nice point. So this is the sign of the bona fide representative. The representative of God, or the incarnation of God, never claims to be God, but the servant of God. Whatever we learn of God from authoritative sources can be described, and that will help us make spiritual progress. This description is called Kirtana. Kirtana. If we try to repeat what we hear, we become established in knowledge. Jai. So, hence Shravanam Diaries is a podcast which is attempting to repeat what we read out loud, and then in the process of editing of the recording. So it's really powerful actually. I'm very, very happy with this podcast because like the more you repeat what you hear, like repeating what you read, it's a very powerful way to become established in knowledge. By the process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, we become free from material conditioning and attain to the kingdom of God. In this age, it is impossible to practice sacrifice, speculation, or yoga. There is no way open to us, but the way of hearing submissively from authoritative sources. This is the way the Mahatmas received the most confidential knowledge. It is the way Arjuna received it from Krishna. And it is the way we must receive it from the disciplic succession stemming from Arjuna. Chapter 5, Parampara, Knowledge through Disciplic Succession. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavanaham Avyayam Vivasvan Manave Praha Manur Ikshvakave Bravit. The Supreme Lord said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivasvan, and Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvako. Bhagavad Gita 4.1. Many ages ago, Krishna imparted the divine knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to Vivasvan, the god of the sun. To the best of our knowledge, the sun is a very hot place, and we do not consider it possible for anyone to live there. It is not even possible to approach the sun very closely with these bodies. However, from the Vedic literatures we can understand that the sun is a planet, just like this one, but that everything there is composed of fire. Just as this planet is predominantly composed of earth, there are other planets which are predominantly composed of fire, water, and air. The living entities on these various planets acquire bodies composed of elements in accordance with the predominating element on the planet. Therefore, those beings who live on the sun have bodies which are composed of fire. Of all beings on the sun, the principal personality is a god by the name of Vivasvan. He is known as the sun god, Surya Narayana. On all planets there are principal personalities, just as in the United States, the chief person is the president. From the history called the Mahabharata, we understand that formerly there was only one king on this planet by the name of Maharaja Bharata. He ruled some 5,000 years ago, and the planet was named after him. Subsequently, the earth has become divided into so many different countries. In this way, there is usually one, and sometimes many, controllers of the various planets in the universe. From this first verse of the 4th chapter, we learn that millions of years ago, Sri Krishna imparted the knowledge of Karma Yoga to the sun god Vivasvan. Sri Krishna, who imparts the teachings of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, here indicates that these teachings are not at all new, but were enunciated many years ago on a different planet. Vivasvan, in his turn, repeated these teachings to his son Manu. In turn, Manu imparted the knowledge to his disciple Ikshvako. Maharaja Ikshvaku was a great king and forefather of Lord Ramachandra. The point being made here is that if one wants to learn Bhagavad Gita and profit by it, there's a process for understanding it, and that process is described here. It is not that Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna for the first time. It is estimated by Vedic authorities that the Lord imparted these divine instructions to Vivasvan some 400 million years ago. From the Mahabharata we understand that Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna some 5,000 years ago. Before Arjuna, the teachings were handed down by disciplic succession, but over such a long period of time, the teachings became lost. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduh sakale neha mahata yogo nashtah parantapa sa evayam maya dedya yogah proktah puratanah bhaktosi me sakhacheti rahasyam hyetaduttamam. Quote, this supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in due course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Therefore, you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Unquote, Bhagavad Gita 4.2 and 3. In Bhagavad Gita, a number of yoga systems are delineated: Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Hatha Yoga, and therefore it is here called yoga. The word yoga means to link up, and the idea is that in yoga we link our consciousness to God. It is a means for reuniting with God or re-establishing our relationship with Him. In the course of time, this yoga imparted by Krishna was lost. Why is this? Were there no learned sages at the time Sri Krishna was speaking to Arjuna? No. There were many sages present at the time. But by lost, it is meant that the purport of Bhagavad Gita was lost. Scholars may give their own interpretation of Bhagavad Gita, analyzing it according to their own whims. But that is not Bhagavad Gita. This is the point that Sri Krishna is stressing, and the student of Bhagavad Gita should note it. A person may be a very good scholar from the material point of view, but that does not qualify him to comment on Bhagavad Gita. In order to understand Bhagavad Gita, we have to accept the principle of disciplic succession, parampara. We must enter into the spirit of Bhagavad Gita and not approach it simply from the viewpoint of erudition. Of all people, why did Sri Krishna select Arjuna as a recipient of this knowledge? Arjuna was not a great scholar at all, nor was he a yogi, meditator, or a holy man. He was a warrior. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we shall continue in the next episode tomorrow. The link to this book is in the description, so please check it out and read along with us, and we shall see you next time. Haribol.